'Twas the eve of Goosemas, cloaked in a mist of excitement and anticipation so thick it muffled the outside world for honkers near and far. Within the bustling streets, the season's spirit burned brightly with gaggles of fans, celebrating with laughter from taverns and parlors alike. Goosemas was a time for jamming and celebration of our favorite band, but not, it must be said, for Alex and Mike. Alex and Mike were neither scoundrels nor saints. They were podcast hosts of middling character, as prone to kindness as they were to carelessness. Bound by years of camaraderie and shared endeavors, they had settled into the comfortable habits of honkers. Hearty quarrels over tasty jams, stubborn opinions about Goose's great questions, and an unspoken agreement to not outwardly celebrate their Goosemas cheer. Alex, feigning his best cynic, declared Goosemas a folly of indulgence. What is it but an excuse to get tasty, unexpected jams from new Christmas songs and covers, he would say, his false sentiment cutting through the warm glow of Goosemas hype. The past is gone, the present is fleeting, and the future, I dare say, will do as it pleases without our interference, exclaimed Mike, nodding in coerced agreement. Both saw the sentiments on the cesspools of X and Reddit, exclaiming Goosemas served only to highlight the gaps between what was promised and what was real. On this Goosemas Eve, the two companions sat warm by a sputtering fire, secretly miserable from each other's feigned hipster coolness. Suddenly, the air grew thick, the fire dimmed to a ghostly glow, and a chill-like breath of a distant spirit of the dark horse swept over them. Alex, Mike, you have lived Goosemas in blindness, seeing neither its meaning nor its power. Tonight you shall walk its path as you never have before. Before either could respond, the room seemed to shift and dissolve, and three figures cloaked in light appeared before them. We are the spirits of Goosemas Past, present, and future, and we have much to show you. Thus began their journey, a journey through the echoes of Goosemas long gone, the bustling warmth of Goosemas present, and the fiery hot hype of Goosemas yet to come. What they saw and learned would challenge their very notions to feign a lack of hype and stir their very hearts.
Whoa. That narrator that sounded like James Earl Jones and You Had a Baby left us with the spirits of Goosemas past, present, and future. It's a shame we don't have the budget for their voice actors, though. I guess it's time for us to find the spirit of Goosemas, Mike.
I guess so. Or investigate into what it would cost us to get some security for this podcast.
Oh, boy.
So there's a lot of Goosemas Past to go over. Going to jump right in here to way back in December 20th of 2014, where Goose played their first Goosemas show ever at the Factory Underground Studio in Norwalk, Connecticut. And the theme, as far as we know, was a very merry Goosemas holiday party. And if you can imagine, tickets were $20 if you got the early bird special, $30 from December 2nd to the 20th, and $40 at the door the night of the show. My, how times have changed. All proceeds went to the Andrews Army Foundation and the Ian Harleman Rising Musicians Foundation. Also, there was an alleged contest for the best Jesus of Nazareth costume to win a Goose shirt, which was a post that Alex found by the official Goose account in the Facebook event page. And some of the show notes here, which are just coming from El Goose, is that the legendary inaugural Goosemas event, John bought dozens of pizzas, trays of tenders, salad, and more. Maybe 10 or 12 kegs. Bonnie and a good friend held down the bar. Thresher, Gallardi, and others helped Coach set up in the basement of the studio. Goose played 3 sets, and the rest is history. So, you want to go over the Goosemas set list here?
Well, first of all, I gotta say, can you imagine being a Goose early adopter here and seeing Goose for a maximum of $40 while getting drinks and food fed down your gullet hole all night? Like, just shout out to anyone who was on the train early. And yeah, going back through the old Facebook archives of the band, like, and seeing all these posts with like 3 likes on them, It's just this is wild to see compared to now.
Yeah.
And going back through the old event page, it sounds like the guys in the band were the ones pouring beers out of the kegs and taking care of everyone in the middle of playing tunes. So just a really, really cool setting. But yeah. Let's go through the set list, huh?
Yeah, no, you're totally right. Wild.
So it's a 3-setter. Starts off with a Linus and Lucy, then get a SCO Mule, It Burns Within, Gone God Good, Mississippi Half Step, Chank, Caution, Rosetta, Madhuvan, first known version of that, Turn Clouds, Indian River, Lead the Way to close out set 1. Then set 2 was A Wild Night, then Boogie on Reggae Woman, One More Saturday Night, Linus and Lucy again, Dancing in the Moonlight, Mustang Sally, and Shout to close out set 2. And then set 3 was Arcadia, Gringo, Spirit of the Dark Horse, This Old Sea, and The River to close out the set with an encore of Use Me, Linus and Lucy, into Jive 1, back into Linus and Lucy. So, you have any highlights that stick out from this paper set list? Obviously, we can't listen back to this show. It used to be on their old archives, but no longer.
Yeah, I wish we could listen, but I'm sure as you listen to me read through this was like obviously the most casual of Goosemas's. It's kind of like being invited to Goose's personal Christmas party is like the feel that I'm getting here. But without being able to listen and just looking at the set list, really cool that there's a wide array of covers here. That's going to be a key part of future Goosemas's, as you'll see as we go through them. But what really sticks out to me is, first known Madhuvan, obviously can't overstate how important and huge that is. But also love how they weave Linus and Lucy in here. Really, really smart set listing. And you'll see them use that technique again here in later Goosemas's as well. And last but not least, but Boogie on Reggae Woman kind of fallen out of the favorite covers selection, but really cool to see that here.
Yeah, that's kind of the theme of the whole set list to me, with it unfortunately being hard to pick out anything jams wise or anything without being able to listen to back. If anyone has that original recording, by the way, like, do the community a favor and upload that shit, because everyone's dying to hear that. But yeah, first Half Step and Caution, the first known versions of those, feel super notable with how much they're in the rotation still. And yeah, you said it, weaving in and out of Linus and Lucy 4 times all night. That's pretty interesting to me.
Yeah, and like I said, they do it again later, so they were a fan of how it worked. Mm-hmm. Any other notes on this one? Kind of not a ton to go into without being able to look at the video or listen back to the audio. But to your point, definitely yes. If anyone has any clips, even just one song, please do the community a favor, because we would all die to see this.
I'm sure someone has videos somewhere, as we found some old videos from early Goosemas's, like clips, but nothing from Goosemas 1, unfortunately.
Yeah, so then after that, they still are at the Factory Underground in Norwalk, Connecticut for Goosemas 2, which was December 19th of 2015. And I'll just go through this set here real quick, because this is, again, one that we don't have a lot of access to. So the set, really all we have is just Gringo and Carol of the Bells, first time played. The opening bands here were B-Band, Great Blue, Mac McNulty and Friends. And one of the craziest things about Goosemas 2 here is that the music started allegedly at 4:45 p.m. and went until 1:30 a.m. So if you can imagine getting to go to a jam band concert that long, I certainly can't, but it sounds absolutely incredible. And according to Facebook, the band released Moon Cabin to those who were in attendance before the official release, which was a few months later in February 2016. We do have a Peter Castaldi short that's on YouTube. But anything to say here about Goosemas 2, Alex?
No, I just think that, once again, the guys in the band and the crew and good friends of the band were pouring a lot of drinks that night, obviously, because whoever was keeping track of the set list only put down 2 songs for the evening. Everyone was good and sloshed, I think. But yeah, that Peter Castaldi short it's really, really short. Like, the term short is not emphasized enough in there. It's just them jamming out a little bit, and it's kind of cool to see how small the setting was and how different it is now.
Yeah, 8 hours and 45 minutes of music. So that would be another one where if anyone's got more clips, please send them our way, because what a concert that must have been.
Yeah, no kidding.
And you would think as we went on here, we would get more details and better information. Not necessarily the case. Goosemas 3, we don't even have a set at all. So this would be another one where if you in the community have anything that you could pass along, we'd be super curious to know what was going on here again at the Factory Underground, December 23rd in 2016. We do know that the theme was 80s, Stay Rad, Miami Nights, 1984, but again, don't have a set list and don't really have any other details here. So
Yeah, not a lot of information, unfortunately, on Goosemas 3 at all. It's actually kind of an interesting thing with Goose in general for being such a modern band that the archives are pretty terrible until Peter joined the band. But yeah, I'm sure there's more information out there somewhere. It just must be very hard to pin down and track. But shout out to everyone who was there. Again, must be the most crazy family setting that you can reflect back on if you've been a fan this long.
Yeah, maybe we can get like Peter to actually like find the information because he seems really good at documenting everything, and maybe he can get into his archives and find us some more information and get it out to the community.
Yeah.
So then Goosemas 4, we're still at Factory Underground, this time December 23rd in 2017. This theme was really cool, 90s Battle of the Bands, and it was also Peter's first show as a member of the band. We've got Circle of Life and Achy Breaky Heart debuts. There's a link we can maybe put here in the show docs to the shirt from the show. And again, low on set list notes here. We just have part of set 1, which was Christmas Wrapping, Circle of Life, and Achy Breaky Heart. But anything that you want to shout out specifically here with the limited info that we have?
Just a few things. Again, this is going back through old Facebook posts because that was the primary source of communication for the band back then. It was scheduled to have over 6 hours of music on this night. There was a promo video for the Battle of the Bands that the band put out, which is, I think, if not the earliest, one of the few earliest videos on Goose's channel on YouTube. And we do have another short video on Instagram this time from Peter Castaldi because he was playing lead guitar at the time of the band, playing a few more tunes than are listed on like the El Goose set list. So you can hear clips of them playing Backstreet's Back and Praise You and a few other jams, and you see friends of the band like Jeff Engborg up on stage with them. So looked like a pretty cool setting, a little bit bigger than we've seen in the past, but still very small and like looked like a handmade wooden stage kind of thing.
Yeah, very cool to see the gradual progression here. Would love to fill in some of these gaps with these early shows, but nice to see some video clips as well finally starting to come out, and not so coincidentally timing it out with the arrival of Peter here, which has been kind of the leveling up, like you said, of Goose as far as documenting all of this stuff.
Yeah. I mean, that was Peter's first show, right? So there had to be a little bit of documentation.
Yeah, he's leveled the band up for sure in that regard. And so the next Goosemas here, we've got finally a different location. We're at Kantiki Sono, also in Norwalk, Connecticut. This was December 22nd, 2018. It was a tiki theme. There was a Jake Brownstein guest spot. And do you want to read this set list as well? Because we actually have one again.
Yeah, so here's where we start getting the set lists all together finally. There's a cool recap video on YouTube, too, you can go watch, but it doesn't really give you any insight to the set. So here we go. Set 1, Mele Kalikimaka, debut of that, Into Hot Tea. Then we get Escape, the Pina Colada song, Yeti, Into Electric Avenue. Then a Butter Rum, All I Need, and Feeling Hot, Hot, Hot to close out set 1. And then set 2 opens with Flow Down, then So Ready, Red Red Wine, Wisteria Lane into Strokin', Same Old Shenanigans, White Lights into Deo, into Feliz Navidad. Wow. This is a full-on conga line the entire way, huh?
They really killed it with the tiki theme, and I think this is kind of illustrating what they've been really successful with in recent years, where everything is just a very big part of the cohesive theme, and you can tell that from the get-go, whenever they have the inception of the idea, there's a very big collective effort to just make sure that everything works within that idea and that theme. This was probably like the first example where the set list really mirrored their efforts in that regard. But just really cool. All the first time played covers here. Electric Avenue has obviously become a huge staple in the catalog. And then there's some other songs that really haven't taken off as covers, but are cool just for their uniqueness here, like Hot, Hot, Hot and Red, Red Wine. Just a really cool mix and match, and really just nailing the theme.
Yeah, this is the beginning of where we see them really lean into themes and really plot meticulously for the event that's clearly getting bigger and bigger.
Definitely. And then in our next one here, this was kind of maybe our inspiration for this episode, but December 21st, 2019 at the Wall Street Theater in Norwalk, Connecticut, the theme was, first set was Ghost of Goosemas Past. Second set was the Ghost of Goosemas Future. So we definitely took at least some of our cues from this. They had TalkPeck sound system at 8. Goose was at 10. Doughy Joey was at 7:30. They held a canned food drive, which has obviously become a theme of Goosemas's as well, that they're, involved with charitable endeavors, connecting that with the theme here. They did a food drive for Open Door Shelter that entered those who donated into a ticket raffle, and prizes included a Tweaks pin, a Handini pin, a special mystery pin, fall torrent poster, and 2 pairs of tickets. So that's really, really neat to see that taking off so early. But another full set list here. So you want to read this one off as well, Alex?
Yeah, dude, that's my job today. Let's get it. Set 1 opens with Christmas Must Be Tonight, and then Tumble, Gringo, All I Need into Carol of the Bells, then Rosewood Heart into Christmas Wrapping, into Yeti, into Linus and Lucy to close out set 1. And then set 2 was Wisteria Lane, into Sweet Home Chicago, into Arrow, into White Lights, then got a Honeybee, into Slow Ready, Creatures, into Tomorrow Never Knows, then Your Ocean, into Wisteria Lane, and then closed out the show with a raffle ticket jam. Yeah.
Unbelievable set list.
Unbelievable. I want to hear your highlights first, and then I'll get into mine.
Yeah, first time covering Christmas Must Be Tonight by the band. Obviously, this was the band week, as all of us were watching The Last Waltz on Thanksgiving. So that's crucial. They've definitely have a huge affinity for them and their covers, if maybe more than any band besides the Grateful Dead. And Arrow and Honeybee first time plays, really, really cool that slotted in the Goosemas Future set. And first time covering Sweet Home Chicago. Those would be my biggest highlights, but I think really by far the coolest thing to me is Arrow and Honeybee first time plays in the Goosemas Future set. But what about you?
Yeah, they really leaned into the theme there and brought it with what would be, well, at least one of them. Arrow's a big song in the rotation now. Honeybee is one that people chase if they're into it. My big highlight actually is from the first set, believe it or not. It's All I Need into Carol of the Bells. And I still listen to this all the time. Just a really great version that you can find yourself listening to any time of year. Also want to shout out that Peter Castaldi wasn't in the band any longer as an official member, but they brought him back up to sing and play Gringo, which is really nice of them to do, leaning into the past theme. And then the raffle ticket jam, like, it's not really a highlight per se of improv or anything like that, but it's just really fun and endearing to listen back and experience once again how much the band has really grown since then. And Peter's just reading off these winners as Rick and Trevor hold down a groove, and Spuds is kind of just going nuts, like not really even necessarily in sync with them, just kind of like going crazy jazz drummer. And it just feels so informal, like a gathering of friends once again, and that just makes it even better.
Yeah, you can really hear the joy in that raffle ticket jam, and I highly encourage, if someone hasn't had the chance to listen to it, it's really fun, and it's a really good early example, I think, of the personality that Peter has brought to this band, which is really cool. Why don't you? I've done so much of the talking here on some of these shows. Why don't you take a stab here at running us through the next Goosemas, and maybe I'll take the set list or something.
Yeah, dude, get a drink of water. Oh my gosh, I feel bad that you had to host this week and do all the talking. So Goosemas 7 in 2020, December 11th, 2020. It was at the 620 Lofton Garden in Rockefeller Center in, of course, beautiful New York City, on the rooftop over there in Rockefeller Center. And we don't have a name theme for this year, but the theme was obviously COVID. Like, the guys all came out in matching ski outfits, quarantined from everyone else, and it was a total vibe, but no official theme. Big notes from this show. It was live streamed from the roof of Rockefeller Center, like I said. El Mig the Wise was played for the first time in 121 shows on this night. Higher and Higher was also played for the first time since November 16th, 2018. And once again, leaning into being a charitable band and finding causes they believe in. The proceeds from Goosemas benefited Save Our Stages, which was a national charity that provides support to independent live venues that were really struggling during this time. And of course, their partnership with Conscious Alliance was also here, which has just been a staple since, which they provide meals to all sorts of communities in need and raised an estimated 60,000 plus on this night, which is incredible for something that was just streamed on Twitch for everyone to watch. And how about you read this set list off, Mike? Because I know this is the show that really got you roped in.
Yeah, I've said it before. This was the first time I ever saw Goose play in a live setting. So starting off here with Arcadia, then Linus and Lucy comes back with Madhavan, Turn Clouds, Earthling or Alien, Love is a Battlefield, Slow Ready, and Elmig the Wise to close out set 1. Kind of interesting set list placement for Elmig there. And then set 2, Seekers on the Ridge, part 1 and part 2, All I Need, Empress of Organos, Hot Tea, You and Whose Army, Hot Tea, and then an encore of Higher and Higher. What are your highlights here, Alex? Because there are a lot.
Oh, yeah. Madhavan, it was played in a slower, funkier arrangement, which is, I believe, the last time that this arrangement has been played, maybe the first and only time. I'm not sure about that, but it doesn't hit as hard as traditional Madhavan to me, but still fun to hear the band trying something different. This Elmeg was my favorite version to listen back to until the outstanding one in Philly that came in this year, but cool for them to bring it back after 121 shows and just crush this version. And then, of course, You and Whose Army is my favorite Radiohead song, so to hear them play it and please bring it back, Goose, is just the best.
Yeah, I mean, very similar. I think it's really cool. I think you might be right that this is the only time Madhavan's been with this type of arrangement, and it is really neat to hear it do something different, especially when it's like one of the most iconic songs in the catalog. To me, I think this was really, really cool for me just because Seekers on the Ridge was like technically the first live Goose song I ever heard, so that's really near and dear to my heart, but also a big fan of the You and Whose Army and Love is a Battlefield first time play. Love is a Battlefield is stuck around. You and Whose Army needs to come back. But putting that first time play, You and Whose Army, in between a hot tea sandwich is really, really nice for me.
Yeah, it's a delicious sandwich. I'm here for that. And bring back more Radiohead covers because they all rock.
Yeah, definitely. And what a hell of a sandwich.
Whew. Yeah, you're not kidding, buddy. You want me to read this next one off too? Give you a little longer.
Yeah, go
break?
for it.
All right. So Goosemas 8 was supposed to take place in 2021, but unfortunately it was canceled because of COVID-19. One of the members of Goose caught the bug, and they had to move it to February 26, 2022, which affected the Goosemas feel a little bit, but still was a big event. It was Goose's largest headlining show to date, and Peter commemorated the occasion by playing a grand piano at the show. So they open up set 1 with Linus and Lucy, then get Yeti, Atlas Dogs into Echo of a Rose, So Ready, and Silver Rising to close out set 1. And then set 2 was open with Rockdale, then get a Redbird and a Rosewood Heart, the debut of Sinnerman, and then close out set 2 with Empress of Organos. And then surprise, we get a set 3 on this night with a Born into Hunger Sight into Dripfield, with Hunger Sight and Dripfield having their debuts during the set, and an encore of Arcadia. So where do you want to start with highlights from the show, Mike?
I mean, I think the main thing for most people that have heard this show is going to be the set 3, the Born, Hunger Sight, Dripfield there. Born had only been played a couple shows before. And obviously, like you said, this is first time for Hunger Sight and Dripfield, but you're getting the basis of that album starting to come out in set 3. So that's really, really the biggest highlight, but also first time play Sinnerman is huge because that cover, especially with the arrival of the Goons, has really taken off in the last year and a half. But I guess like if you want to throw another note in there, I wouldn't say it's necessarily a highlight, but it is interesting that the fact that they had to move the show leaves us with only one Christmas song. They kind of, abandoned the Christmas theme with this one, but it is still a really good show. And it was at the time their largest headlining show. So it's still very much worth your listen.
Yeah. It is very well worth a listen. And yeah, those are some big debuts, right? And even some of the songs that weren't debuted were all very new, like Silver Rising and Born. But yeah, hard to believe Sinnerman's really only like 3.5 years of them playing it because they just crush it. Like it sounds like it's always been a song that's in their bag. But yeah, Not a ton of improv in this show, a lot of shorter tunes, but they definitely crammed as much music as they could to make up for the cancellation and make it up for everyone who managed to come back for this February date.
Yeah, definitely. It's one that I do listen to fairly often, even though it is short on the improv. It just seems like it was a big moment at the time, and it still kind of feels that way even when you're listening to it now.
It was a huge moment for them, like playing one of the bigger venues in their home state and a venue that a lot of huge bands have played before them and will continue to play. It must be so huge in their hearts, right? But that's not the only Goosemas in 2022, man. Right?
They doubled up.
So December 16th and 17th, 2022, they played at the First Bank Center in Broomfield, Colorado for their first Goosemas officially with fans in attendance that was outside of the state of Connecticut, right? They had that Goosemas in New York City, but that was band and crew only. So pretty momentous occasion. The theme was holiday wishes. And yeah, how about you read off this set, Mike? Because I've been doing a lot of set reading.
I got you, man. So set list for night one: Flow Down, Everything Must Go, Butter Rum, The Old Man's Boat, Drive, Christmas Must Be Tonight comes back, and Same Old Shenanigans closes down set one. And then set two, you've got Pancakes, Rosewood Heart, Trevor Reed's Poetry, Wisteria Lane, Moby, Rockdale, and an encore of White Lights. And then for night two, you've got set one, Carol of the Bells, Turbulence and the Night Rays, Atlas Dogs, Time to Flee, Western Sun, and Tumble. And then set two, you've got Thatch, Creatures, Slow Ready, Factory Fiction, Animal, Dripfield, with a crazy encore of Hot Tea, Linus and Lucy, back into Hot Tea. So ridiculous sets. Obviously, we've got two nights to discuss here. What jumps out at you first, Alex?
So something I neglected to mention early on here was, along with the theme of holiday wishes, the second set each night was decided by a random, I'll put that in air quotes, selection of bingo balls with fan requests written on them. It was literally just Peter reaching into a Santa bag full of bingo balls and just kind of looking at them and deciding which ones they wanted to play. But
yeah,
this is definitely one of the Goosemases I still go back and listen to the most, I would say. Outside of the set list, one of the personal highlights for me is seeing Coach in a Santa outfit. Like, that is everything. But I'll start with night one here with the music. And Wisteria Lane was my standout from this night one. It's a very light groove, super patient, and the band kind of leans into that slow groove while Peter is pulling more bingo balls, and he pulls out Group Hug in the middle of the song. So the entire crowd's hugging each other, and that really shifted the tone of the jam because I think it just gave Rick a burst of energy to do a soaring Rick solo out of that, which is pretty great. And that transitioned seamlessly into Moby. And then the other highlight that's not really music related, but Peter pulled Peter Twerk Ball before the encore. And all I'm going to say is that this is not talked about enough for both positive and negative reasons. It was way too short, but also those dance moves by Peter are just going to haunt or bring me joy depending on the night. It's absolutely outstanding, and we have full video of this show to go back and watch.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that there are almost too many highlights for me to call out in this one. I think that this is, to your point, one of the ones that I listen to the most. I think that, like, non-song wise, I just love every time that Rick says we're doing the balls into the microphone. That's a huge highlight alone. It makes me laugh every single time. And there's a lot of good, like, talking and ad-libbing between Rick and Peter and just the band in general at this show. So it's a lot of fun to listen back to. Trevor Reed's Poetry is a huge highlight. The Hot Tea, Linus Lucy Hot Tea in the encore is really, really cool. Factory Fiction and Moby being involved is absolutely insane. But it may sound kind of weird, but honestly, I go back to this E or A probably the most. It's one of my favorite E or A's of all time. It's got some really fun talking again from Peter in it, and Rick has a really fun solo in it. And you can just tell during that E or A that they're just having like the time of their lives. So it's definitely one that was one of the early adoptions by me as far as their live tracks go, and I'm still coming back to it.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that ERA is great. You've put me onto that, and it's on my playlists often. I also forgot to say night two, dude, that Time to Flee. It's one of the longest versions they ever played.
Oh my God, yeah.
And I think it's third longest all time. I got to go back and look, but You get the real Wheel of Fortune Rick on this jam for sure. Ripping Rick, funky. It almost starts to sound like a Santana tune at one point, and then just like wah pedal madness throughout. It's just great.
And I would be remiss if I didn't mention First Goosemas with Thatch, my favorite Goose song. So
it's a great
big
one.
shout out to Thatch.
Yeah. So I'm going to give you back the reins because you were at Goosemas 10 here. So shout it out, buddy.
Yeah, first Goose show in person for me. Obviously, an amazing time. It was December 8th and 9th in 2023 at Hampton Coliseum. Also, my first show in the mothership. So that was really cool. That venue is just absolutely outstanding. If you ever get the chance to go, it seems like it's frozen in 1972. It just absolutely crazy. And you can feel all the past concerts in there as soon as you walk in. Show was part of Goosemas X. Set one was, so each different set was based on a different planet because it was Goosemas in space. That was the theme. Set one for night one was a mirror planet named Echochrome. Set two was a fire planet named Inferno Prime. And on night two, set one was a bubble planet named Pafaria. And set two was a neon jungle planet named Vivadora. So this was also Spud's final show as a member of Goose. And there was also a Bruce Hornsby sit-in that still lives in infamy. So lots going on, but if you want to, why don't you read this set list off, Alex?
Will do, Betty. Night one, set one, open with Earthling or Alien. All I Need. And then get Mirrors, first time played, Tumble, and Man in the Mirror to close out the set. And then set two opens with Fire. Then get Creatures into Dawn, Sex on Fire, Butter Rum, Arrow into Burning Down the House with an encore of So Ready into Slow Ready into Hot Tea. And then night two set list. Set one, Pancakes into Doobie Song. Then get Circles, 99 Red Balloons into Pancakes. Big Blue into Dripfield. Then Redbird into I'm Forever Blowing Bubbles. And then set two, Jungle into Animal. Echo of a Rose into Run Through the Jungle. Back into Echo of a Rose. Then get The Way It Is with Bruce Hornsby. And then close out the set with the Empress of Organos into Jungle Boogie, back into Empress of Organos with an encore of Arcadia. Where do we start, man? Lots of covers on this one.
Yeah, cover central. So that's obviously the big, other than Goosemas in Space, the big theme here was just absolute bananas on the covers. And, you know, obviously now knowing what we know, a lot of that was because there wasn't a ton of rehearsal time with Ben. So they went with a lot of covers and a lot of them went for huge results. So I think for most people that have heard this show or were at this show, I think Mirrors is kind of the runaway favorite. It went type 2. I don't think anyone was expecting Justin Timberlake covers to begin with, let alone what they did with the jam on it. But the whole show is really, really fond memories for me. Obviously my first show, but all these covers that are probably going to be one and done. You're never going to see them again. I thought they were really well executed, most of them. And how they were able to weave these in and out with the planet themes was just really, really clever. I think that outside of Mirrors, The Way It Is with Bruce obviously is going to be a milestone moment forever. Seeing him walk out on stage, kind of just my brain was left on the stairwell at that point. But then the Empress Jungle Boogie, Empress Sammy was absolutely huge to close down night two. And I don't know if we could ever replicate the energy that was in the building for that part of the show. So those would be my main highlights. But what about you, Alex? I'm imagining Mirrors also factors.
Oh, God, yes. Mirrors is absolutely my night one favorite moment. It's an absolute monster. Really probably should have had more Jam of the Year consideration. But that Creatures was really fun, too. That Creatures into Dawn section, really, really fun. And seeing a lot of new unexpected covers, also a joy when you're at the show. But night two is the one I favor more in my head, at least. I love that Echo of a Rose into Run Through the Jungle into Echo sandwich. And Run Through the Jungle is not your typical CCR cover that Goose does, right? It goes full type 2 here as well. And even though it was Ben's last show and not a ton of rehearsal time, the transition game in this section especially was so strong. Like some of the best you'll hear in the Ben era. And then obviously Bruce Hornsby coming out on stage and getting the notification like, life form detected. It's Bruce Hornsby. It must be so cool. But yeah, that's their most watched YouTube video of all time for good reason.
Yeah, definitely. And the rumors were flying heavy going into that show that, well, he lives like 30 minutes away. So it's totally possible. People were, I remember posting on Reddit the the Google Maps images, which is kind of creepy of where his house is and stuff like that. But yeah, forever changed by that moment for sure.
Fans being creepy? No way.
Never.
Never.
But next up, we're going to last year, which was our first Goosemas together as podcasters. So really, really special memories down in North Charleston. Obviously, most people here are going to be familiar with the theme. It was Bingo 1975. We brought back bingo for the first time since COVID. The balls were pulled randomly from a giant bingo wheel on stage in real time to decide the set list. So want to read us through one more set list here, Alex?
Yeah, real quick, though, I just want to shout out that the first 10,000 people to apply on the Goosemas website could get a virtual bingo card for the event for a chance at prizes. And the prizes were really cool. Like the grand prize was 2 tickets to Viva El Gonzo, for instance, fully paid with flights and hotel and everything. There was a bunch of pairs of tickets handed out. There was Goose merch packs. And then, of course, the coveted Goosemas rehearsal recordings. That was like a second TED tapes that year. Was awesome. But yeah, let's read through the set list here. Night 1, we start off with Sirius getting full Chicago Bulls intro going. And then first ball pull was Yeti, then got Butter Rum, Arcadia, played The King, which was a new like cheesy sounding jam for Rick to get his dunk tank in for the event somehow. Like if you watch a documentary of this, Rick really wanted a dunk tank. And then
he did.
Got Turbulence in the Night Rays and Silver Rising to close out set 1. And then set 2 open with Hot Love and the Lazy Poet. Then Give It Time, Mr. Action, Hunger Sight, into Flow Down. Then got a 726, Cashmere, Into the Mist, into Big Modern to close out set 2. With an encore of SOS. And then got Seekers Part 1 and Part 2 into Dawn to close out the show. This is a long one, man. Where do we want to start with night 1? And then I'll read night 2 after that.
Yeah, I mean, so as far as night 1, obviously we start off with a bang with the Bulls theme. I think that anyone that was born in the 80s, a 90s kid, absolutely, you just had goosebumps with that start. I think that by far the biggest highlight to me, and we've talked about it ad nauseum at this point, was the Hunger Sight from night 1. It was one of my jams of the year. I think it finished in my top 10 last year. Just absolutely really, really cool, patient build on that one that just took off to new heights by the time they reached the end. But the other biggest highlight for me from night 1 was Cashmere, which, you know, me and my dad, I think, almost fell to our knees with how much Nico Suave killed that cover. I mean, it's the greatest Led Zeppelin has sounded since Led Zeppelin was still a band. So those were my two biggest highlights, but also this freaking encore that just never ends. I mean, you know, if you were there in real time, the thought was, how late are we going? I mean, it was very much MSG vibes at the time, just song after song. And it just seemed like the show would never end, which kind of repeated on night 2. But these were really, really special Goosemases that they, you know, really took their time and really weren't in any hurry to wrap up.
I don't have much else to say on the highlights. Like that Arcadia and Hunger Sight really, really stand out to me. But yeah, the show, to your point, felt like it would never end, to where I was like, how late are we going past curfew? This is awesome. Like, we're staying here till 2 a.m. Let's go. And yeah, Nico Suave, first time introduced to most of this fan base, coming out and crushing Cashmere was insane, dude.
Unreal. Goosebumps again, just thinking about it.
And then night 2 was even crazier, in my opinion. So once again, band comes out to Sirius, and I gotta rewind a little bit and shout out these guys' outfits on this night.
Oh yeah,
because like Rick is coming out dressed like Bob Seger, and Peter's looking like George Harrison, I guess, and Trevor, he's got a perm going and like fingerless gloves, and he just looks amazing. And Cotter's one of the Village people, I think, with these crazy mutton chops, and like it's just insane. And you know, the Lucky Lou of it all too, like hosting the whole event, just it was outstanding. But Sirius really brought it all together, introducing the band each night. And then the first ball was pulled once again, and it's Madhuvan to open set 1. Just wild. And then Born into Slip Sliding Away, debut of that cover, into One In One Out, into B&D and Flamingos, into a 14-minute jam ball that was pulled, into Rockdale to close out set 1. And then set 2 is All I Need, into Creatures, into Empress of Organos, and then the debut of Don't Leave Me This Way, the debut of Get Down Tonight, Atlas Dogs, into Echo of a Rose, into Money Ready, which was Slow Ready, So Ready, back into Slow Ready to close out that set. And then an encore, once again, never ending, of Dripfield, into the Marball, which is DJ Marmental. It's just going crazy. Then the debut of Help Slip Frank, back into Empress of Organos to close out the night. Just insanity. And this didn't end till like 1:30 or some shit too, right? Like,
yeah,
we were all sleepy, but having the time of our life.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, during the B&D Flamingos, obviously, it goes without saying that Peter and Rick are on inflatable flamingos on top of the crowd on the floor. So that's automatically highlight number one, I think, for all of us. And also maybe one of the scariest Goose moments ever, because I just kept thinking they were going to fall and break their legs. But this Madhavan to start the show off really set the tone for how crazy this night was going to be, in my opinion. The Rockdale closing down set 1 is another huge highlight. For me, Get Down Tonight, I'll die on this hill and this island, but I think the jam was better than Don't Leave Me This Way as far as the 70s disco goes. But I think that the two biggest things that jump out to me are, especially having a podcast called Slow Ready, was the Money Ready. I think that's my favorite iteration of all the different slows that we've had over the last 2 years. I think it just absolutely worked perfectly. And then the Help Slip Frank. I don't know that it might be quite a while before I see a crowd reaction at Goose that parallels what we saw during that.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And if I'm being frank, I don't think I've heard a band cover Help Slip Frank that sounded that good with the Rick vocals and all of that, just like that tight. I mean, obviously jam wise, maybe that's a different story, but with how the song sounded, I just was so impressed. But yeah, my big highlight, you said a lot of them, but that run of 1 in 1 out into B&D and Flamingos, into 14-minute jam, into Rockdale is some of the best improv we got on this weekend, and honestly on the year, in my opinion. Just such a fun segment. And yeah, the Flamingos are absolutely iconic. Like, it looks like something out of a movie when you see the pictures that were taken professionally. And then I gotta also shout out this Creatures in set 2, man. This is a really fun Creatures. It might not cover like some insane ground, but in terms of like the amount of fun and dancing during this, it was truly one of the great moments of 2024, in my opinion. And yeah, debut of Don't Leave Me This Way. I know the jam was not as good as Get Down Tonight, but the song, the execution was insane. And obviously, like, it's become a fan favorite to hear at shows now. But yeah, other than that, the entire encore was just wild. All of it. I would take all of that. Yeah. Getting a Dripfield into a Marb Menthol's jam is just goated.
Yeah. And you're absolutely right. I think with both of these set 2s from both nights, there's a sleeper in both of them, because I think the Into the Mist gets passed up on set 2, night 1 as well. And it's not any fault of that or the Creatures. It's just there's so many other highlights happening.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
And so that takes us into Goosemas Present. So wrapping up Goosemas Past here, what do we know about this year, Alex? Well, we're going to be in Providence, Rhode Island. We know that.
We do.
And it's going to be at the Amica Mutual Pavilion, which has a capacity of 14,000. So it's very similar to the Charleston one last year. It's just a couple hundred people more. And this was originally constructed in 1972 for the Providence basketball team. Also hosts the Providence Bruins, the AHL team. They've had artists like Pink Floyd, Frank Sinatra, Elvis, Cher, and Aerosmith, but it recently underwent a huge renovation in 2008, which brought some modern amenities like luxury boxes, and it now connects to the convention center as well. So looks like it's in really good shape for Goosemas. Do you want to maybe take us through some of the events around Goosemas for this year? Because there are a lot. Goosemas keeps becoming a bigger event each year, and so there's more and more events before and after. So do you want to run through some of these here, Alex?
Yeah, sure. So we'll start off with Night Zero because WTED has become iconic for their Night Zero event. And this year it'll be at the Fate Music Hall. All the proceeds from this event will be benefiting the Conscious Alliance once again. And this will be featuring Disco, Nico Suave, Cam Hurt, and the Night Zero Band. And this is in conjunction with WTED and the FemFlock putting this together. So shout out to the Wisteria Lane community and the FemFlock for organizing such a cool event once again for us to go to. And then another one I want to shout out is before night 2, we had the Goosemas Flowdown, organized by Rising Tide Art Studios and Fox and the Cobra. And this will also be at the Fate Music Hall from 1 to 5 p.m. at the Fate Music Hall once again on Saturday, December 14th. So lots of great vendors are going to be there, like obviously Rising Tide, Fox and the Cobra, Cats Under the Stitch, Conceptual Groove, Jungle Room, Permanent Marker Dies, Turn Clouds Watercolor. I can't remember all of them, I'm sorry, but they're all amazing. And there'll also be like community participants like us will be there, and a few other podcasts and some really cool groups. And all of this will be to benefit the Western Sun Foundation, and we'll have some cool unique events like the Conscious Pregame with Hannah and Kate from Cacao, and they're going to have a ticketed event to do some cacao with them and have a ceremony. That'll be awesome. And I believe Gooseband Memes is sponsoring that, which is pretty cool. He'll have a table too. And there's also going to be a gentle yoga flow with Callie Ellis, Cotter's sister, from 3:30 to 4:30. So that'll be awesome. And the last thing I want to shout out, which I totally forgot to put in this doc, but after night 2, the after party is going to be Pigeons playing ping pong after the show, which is pretty sweet. Bird Bands Unite once again. The band kind of teased that with a post recently of them playing with pigeons. So yeah, we'll get the bird bands together, maybe a guest spot hopefully or something like that. But either way, a Pigeons show is always a good time.
Yeah, and after night 1, there's also an after party also at Fet Music Hall with Ruthie Bandit and
right.
DJ Morgan Peacock, which is also AKA Alex Bailey from Aggie. So you've got after parties both nights if you're interested, and if your legs can take it, your feet can take it. Would highly encourage you to go out because I think that Alex is right on the money there. There are probably going to be some guest spots at both nights. I would imagine seeing Peter with Ruthie, and I would imagine seeing Rick and or Peter or Cotter and or anyone in the band on night 2 because they like to play with pigeons. They've done it a bunch. They've done it a bunch. So I would expect any member of Goose's being a possibility for the night 2 after party.
Yeah, totally forgot to put those in our show doc. Sorry, buddy. But yeah, cool after parties galore. Can't wait for Goosemas, man.
It's going to be so fun. We're getting so close. And so we've also got some rumors flying around like crazy, and we wanted to kind of address it. Goose themselves hasn't confirmed an official theme here for this upcoming Goosemas. That being said, if you're into Goose, chances are you probably have a theory or have read a theory. Goose posted a couple cryptic things here recently that have hinted at themes. There was something from 1734, I want to say, a newspaper clipping here recently. And so do you have any thoughts at all about what we could be walking into in Providence, Rhode Island here in a couple weeks, Alex? I thought we could have some fun speculation because nothing is official, but we've got ideas.
There's so much speculation flying around. The band posted a super cryptic 1700s newspaper with reference to vampires and kidnappings and all sorts of shenanigans. And we also have knowledge that H.P. Lovecraft is from the area, obviously renowned horror story writer. So maybe there's a link there. That might be cool. We've seen a picture of the announcement that looks like a haunted boardwalk kind of scene, which might tie into that. Who knows? But also there's a big theory that's been flying around too ever since the street team posted up some posters at Halloween. One was obviously the dates for the spring tour, but another one was this lost, like almost milk carton style poster that looks a lot like the poster from the movie The Lost Boys. And so people are thinking maybe there's a link there with the reference to the vampires and the post that Goose made. And it could be a cool theme of a really iconic 80s movie that could make for a really fun Goosemas. So have you heard any other rumors, Mike, or you got anything else to say about those?
No, just I think most of us have been kind of circling around the same different hints here. I think that, also if you look up the history of Providence, the last known quote unquote vampire in American history, at least documented, is from that area. So it looks like it could be a good tie-in there. Obviously, when they released the promo over the summer, it seemed like it was creepy carnival theme. So if you've seen the classic film, there's a great boardwalk sequence in there that's a key part of the movie. So it seems like it could tie in, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was part of a larger theme. And, it's maybe overall just kind of like a creepy Goosemas in general. But it'll be interesting to see how much of it is the focal point and if Lost Boys ties in at all, or if it's the only theme here. But we know as much as you do, so I think it'll be fun to watch the rumors keep flying around and swirling here over the next week. And we're hoping that maybe over the next couple of days we either get one more cryptic clue or maybe even possibly something a little bit more concrete from the band. That's our hope here. But if not, we'll be having just as much fun being surprised by it and having fun with that too.
Yeah, cannot wait. And that's almost leading us right into Goosemas' future here. Shout out to the spirit of Goosemas' future. So we're speculating a little bit about the present already, but let's get into our wild guesses for Goosemas' future here. Mike, you want to get us started with some guesses for future years of where we might see Goosemas go?
Yeah, so one thing I have is we've all talked a lot about how cool the world building and characters from Chain Your Dragon are, and a lot of these old classic Goose songs that have been around for a while. I think that it would be very within their wheelhouse, and something that might be a strong possibility would be for them to kind of bring those characters to life, and maybe we see something like a Turbulence and the Night Race band here in the future. You could have Madalena and all these Royal and all these characters kind of intersecting, and I think you could tell a really cool Christmas story just with some of the Goose characters that Rick and Matt have made a part of this giant world that they're inventing kind of on the fly.
I had that as a theme too. Just Chain Your Dragon though, and it would be all dragon themed covers like Puff the Magic Dragon and Through the Fire and Flames by Dragon Force.
I love it.
But
That's amazing.
I'm thinking for a future theme, let's say 2027. Let's put out a date. I'm going to get really specific. The band's going to be playing back in Connecticut, hometown show for 3 nights at Mohegan Sun, expanding Goosemas to a 3-nighter officially.
Wow. Okay, I love that. I didn't have that on my card here, but that would be amazing. 3 nights of Goosemas.
All right, what else you got? What other ideas you got for this future?
I think it's inevitable. We've seen them sell out MSG. I think at some point in the next 3 to 5 years, Goosemas makes its way to MSG. I know scheduling is tight. That's the busiest arena in the world. So, I mean, I get it. But if Fish can find a way to logistically manage a baker's dozen, I think that it's only a matter of time before Goose does Goosemas at the Mecca.
Yeah, I had that on my list as well. I was thinking 2028 timeframe. We'll see. I don't know. It's hard to say. I also think the band will be playing the United Center at some point in the future. I believe, with my light research on Google, that is the largest or one of the largest indoor venues for concerts to play. That's not a stadium. So I think that could happen with how big Goosemas has become.
Yeah, definitely. And there's been a lot of great live albums recorded at that venue, a lot of historic concerts from there. So that would work really well. Yeah. Another thing I think is going to happen with the themes going forward is I think it's going to take some time, but I do think they're going to make their way back to some of the themes that like haven't been finished. So like I think Goosemas in Space does get completed at some point, but I think it's going to probably be in the distant future. I think that they tend to like ping pong a little bit with the way they come about with ideas. And so I think that there's kind of a little bit of randomness to how they come up with these themes each year. So they'll probably get sidetracked for a little bit, but I do think that they come back around and finish some of these stories that they start out telling.
I'd love that. Get back to space, finish up the Same Old Shenanigans movie. Like that would be a cool idea.
Yes.
Like, stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
Let's see. I made mine weirdly specific, so I'm going to just continue shooting my shot. It's 2033. Yeah. The band has become enormous, biggest jam band in the scene. Can't fit in traditional venues anymore. So they book out Caesars Stadium in New Orleans for 2 sold-out nights with the Preservation Hall Jazz Band accompanying them for the majority of the sets.
I love this, man. You might need to become like Goose's like assistant, like tour manager or something. Like put you next to Coach or something.
We're getting unhinged. Let's go. I only have one left, and it's even more unhinged.
Well, I saved my most unhinged one for last, and you kind of already called it out, but I kind of think that part 2 to the Same Old Shenanigans movie is going to be a Goosemas theme. I think that maybe it's not like a Gamehenge level type of deal Broadway production, but I think that we get the conclusion to that story in real time, played out on stage.
That would be awesome. I would love that because that movie lives rent free in my head all the time.
Yeah, me too.
All right, last one. Try to get through this without laughing. The year is 2064. Goose is the largest band on Earth and has been for decades. There is only one venue large enough for Goose now, outer space. And thanks to tech billionaire bros and their definitely correct sense of priorities, it is affordable and easy to leave the apocalyptic hellscape that is Earth in one of their phallically shaped rockets to jam out to Goose, raising funds to save the Earth from its inevitable doom.
I love it so much. I think that on the flip side, though, you may have scared off the ghost of Goosemas Future. I think he's just like, what the fuck are you guys talking about?
He's like, you're wrong on everything. But, all right. He can't talk. He's just a guy with chains, if I remember right. So,
yeah. That was amazing, though. And I really hope I'm there for that.
Oh, man. Yeah,
Goose
that'll do it.
For real.
I hope that happens. Goose in space. Let's get after it. Oh my gosh. Well, I think we found the spirit of Goosemas. What do you think, man?
I think that we found it. And if not, we're on our way.
Yeah. We'll definitely have it by the time Goosemas happens this year in Providence.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. These ghosts have shown us the way.
And so Mike and Alex, prepared for Goosemas as best as they could be, ventured off into the nights of Providence, hoping the knowledge they gained along the way would light their path to jams of the year.